You stand on the bridge of the Defiance. It is the last warship of humanity. Below you, Earth is a scarred marble of blue and brown. Above you, a silent, unbeatable wall. The enemy fleet of the Glykon hangs in the black, 1,000 blades of cold geometry aimed at the heart of your world. This is the final hour of the war. This is the precipice of extinction. Your command console flickers with grim data. The numbers tell a story of complete defeat. We are outgunned 10,000 to 1. Our shields are failing. Our weapons are gnats against their titans. You watch the Glykon ships move. They do not drift. They position themselves with a terrible silent precision. Each movement is a note in a symphony of annihilation. The air on the bridge is thin with fear. Every face is pale, every breath is shallow. The young ensign to your left grips his station so hard his knuckles are white.
He is waiting for your command. The command to fight. The command to die. But you have no orders that lead to victory. All that is left is defiance. A final, futile gesture against the coming night. You look back at the main screen. The Glykon flagship is a monstrous thing, a perfect obsidian spearhead in the void. No lights, no visible ports, just a shape that absorbs all hope. They have been planning this final strike for days, a final, overwhelming purge to end the human question forever. You clench your jaw. The war ends today, one way or another. The Glykon are beings of pure logic. Their minds are cold and vast as space itself. We learned this the hard way, in 100 battles across a dozen systems. Our courage was a variable they calculated. Our fury was a waveform they analyzed and dismissed. To them, our passions are just noise, inefficient bursts of chaotic energy.
They do not hate us. Hate is an emotion. It is illogical. They see us as a problem, a complex equation that needs to be simplified. Humanity is an anomaly in their ordered galaxy. We are loud and unpredictable. We build strange asymmetrical art. We fight for ideas they cannot measure. We are a flaw in their perfect star science, a bug to be patched out of existence. You remember the first contact. We sent them music and poetry. We sent them our history of triumph and failure. They responded with a single transmission. It was a mathematical proof, a detailed, irrefutable argument for our own inferiority. It was not an act of malice. It was, to them, a simple statement of fact. They considered it a kindness, a warning before the inevitable correction. Their warfare reflects their mind. No glorious charges, no taunts, just the relentless application of overwhelming force. Their strategies are flawless. Their formations are unbreakable. They learn from every engagement, adapting their logic to counter our desperate tactics. They are a glass empire, perfect, clear, and impossibly strong. Fighting them is like punching a mountain that thinks. Then, something impossible happens. The stray signal escapes a forgotten data haven, buried deep beneath the ice of Europa. It was a server farm from old Earth. In the chaos of the final siege, its power cycled on. A single automated broadcast sequence initiated, an emergency signal designed to reach any surviving colonies. It was not a weapon. It was not a plea for help. It was a comedy show. The signal was weak, a ghost of a transmission, a relic from a time before the war, a time of peace and foolishness. It streamed data packets filled with ancient nonsense, a stand-up routine from the 21st century. A silent film featuring a man with a funny mustache, a cartoon about a cat endlessly chasing a mouse. It was the last accidental whisper of a world that no longer existed. Your communications officer announces it with a bewildered tone. An unknown signal is broadcasting on all channels. He says it is human in origin, but the encryption is archaic. For a moment you feel a surge of impossible hope, a secret weapon, a hidden fleet returning to save you. He finally cracks the signal's content. His face goes from confusion to disbelief. He looks at you, his eyes wide. "Sir," he says, his voice a strange mix of awe and despair. "It's jokes." The signal, our last message to the uncaring void. It was not the sum of our knowledge, not our art or our science. It was a recording of a man telling a story about a chicken crossing a road. The universe, it seems, has a strange sense of humor. The logic bomb detonates without a sound. Across the system, the Glycon fleet stops its final assault. Their spearhead formation, a move of absolute checkmate, halts mid-maneuver. The 1,000 blades aimed at Earth's heart simply hang there, silent, motionless. On your bridge, the tension does not break, it transforms. It becomes a dense, suffocating fog of confusion. The enemy is doing nothing. Their energy signatures remain at peak levels, their weapon ports are still open, but they do not fire. Minutes stretch into an hour. The final blow never comes. Your tactical team is frantic. They run simulations, they check for sensor ghosts, they search for some hidden strategy. There is none. The perfect war machine has simply paused. The Glycon are struggling. They are trying to analyze the illogical transmission, the comedy show from old Earth.
Their collective mind, a network of pure reason, is confronted with absurdity. What is the tactical value of a pratfall? What is the strategic purpose of a pun? The concept of a punchline is a variable they cannot quantify. It does not compute. You watch their ships on the main view screen. For the first time in this long war, they seem uncertain. A few vessels drift slightly out of their perfect formation. It is a tiny imperfection, a barely noticeable flaw. But in the clockwork precision of the Glycon fleet, it is a seismic event. The illogical data is a virus. It is spreading through their network, corrupting their cold, clear reason. The bomb was not explosive. It was ridiculous. A desperate new strategy is born in that silence. It is born in the bewildered quiet of Earth's command center. Admiral Eva Rostova, your superior, calls you directly. Her face appears on your private screen. Her expression is not one of hope. It is one of sheer, frantic desperation. She looks like a gambler about to bet her last chip. "Explain what you are seeing," she commands. Her voice is tight. You report the Glycons in action. You describe the slight drift in their formations, the eerie stillness that has replaced their relentless pressure. You tell her about the ancient broadcast from Europa, the comedy show. For a long moment, the Admiral is silent. You can see the gears turning in her brilliant mind. "They are analyzing it," she says, more to herself than to you. "It's an unexpected data set. It's disrupting their processing." She looks directly at you. Her eyes hold a spark of something wild, something that goes beyond military doctrine. Their greatest strength is their logic. What if our greatest weapon is that we make no sense? It is a radical theory, a profound leap into the unknown. The top minds of humanity are summoned. Star science experts, strategists, psychologists. They debate the Admiral's theory with frantic energy. It is insane. It is absurd. It is the only chance you have. The conclusion they reach is more terrifying than any battle plan. Our salvation may lie in our own foolishness. We are going to fight logic with laughter. A new kind of war requires a new kind of soldier. You are chosen. Not for your aim, not for your courage in battle. You are chosen for a forgotten skill. Before the war, you were a historian. Your specialty was old Earth popular culture. You studied the very nonsense that now holds the Glycon paralyzed. Your mission is to weaponize human humor. You are transferred from the bridge of the Defiance. You descend deep into the command bunker, into a newly created department. It is called the Ministry of Mirth. A ridiculous name for a ridiculous task.
Your team is a strange collection of individuals, a linguist who specializes in wordplay, a musician who understands the mathematics of comedic timing, a programmer tasked with building a weaponized mean delivery system. Your arsenal is not made of plasma or steel. It is made of data files, thousands of hours of recorded comedy, slapstick and satire, wit and absurdity. You and your team work feverishly. You sort through ancient archives. You look for the purest forms of illogical humor, the things that make a human laugh for no good reason at all. It feels like madness. You are building a joke cannon while the enemy fleet darkens your sky. The pressure is immense. The Glycon could restart their attack at any moment. Their logical minds could solve the puzzle of the punchline. They could classify it, dismiss it, and proceed with your annihilation. You have one chance to prove the Admiral's theory. You must forge a weapon of mirth. A single perfect joke to fire into the heart of their cold logic. The fate of your world rests on your ability to be funny. The moment arrives. Your team has selected the first official broadcast. It is not sophisticated. It is not clever. It is a simple piece of physical comedy. A clip from an ancient show. A respected actor walks with great dignity. He does not see the banana peel on the floor. The setup is simple. The punchline is inevitable. You have loaded this clip into the system. You have aimed it at the Glycon flagship. The programmer gives you a thumbs up. The system is ready. The entire command bunker is watching you. Generals and strategists, men and women of science and war, they all look to you and your ridiculous weapon. Your finger hovers over the broadcast button. For a second, you hesitate. This is the single most important act of the war, and it is completely, utterly absurd. You take a breath. You press the button. You send the first joke across the void. The signal is strong this time, a focused beam of pure, uncut nonsense. It travels from your transmitter to their flagship, a journey of a few seconds that feels like a lifetime. On the main view screen, you see the Glycon fleet, unmoving, unblinking. The clip of the man slipping and falling plays out in silence. The joke is delivered. The punchline has landed. The enemy's response is a terrifying, profound silence. Nothing happens. Their ships do not move. They do not fire. They do not communicate. They simply hang there, absorbing the information. The command bunker holds its collective breath. 1 minute passes. Then 5. Then 15. The silence stretches, becoming heavier and heavier. It is the silence of a computer that has encountered a fatal error, a mind that has crashed. A crack appears in the glass empire. It starts with one ship, a mid-sized cruiser on the fleet's outer edge. It breaks formation, not by a few meters, but by a kilometer. It drifts aimlessly, its engines firing in a random sputtering pattern. Then another ship follows, and another. Their perfect formations, the hallmark of their logical purity, begin to drift apart. They are like snowflakes starting to melt. The tactical display becomes a mess of chaotic vectors. The Glycon fleet is losing its cohesion. The analysts in the bunker are shouting. They've never seen anything like this. The enemy's movements are no longer precise and calculated. They are clumsy, erratic. It is as if a master chess player suddenly forgot how the pieces move. The weapon worked. It did not destroy them. It confused them on a fundamental level. Their cold logic is poisoned by absurdity. The concept of a man falling in such a way, the sudden loss of dignity, the violation of expectation, it has no place in their ordered universe. They're trying to find the reason in the unreasonable. They are trying to solve the equation of the banana peel, and it is breaking their minds. They are not just ships anymore. They are a fleet of thinkers, and you have given them a thought they cannot think. A single cheer erupts in the command bunker. It is quickly silenced. The war is not over, but something has changed. Hope, a feeling that had been extinguished, flickers back to life. You did not scratch their hull. You did not damage a single system. You told them a joke, and their perfect, logical empire began to crack. The success of the first broadcast ignites a new kind of offensive. The laughter offensive. It is your time to shine. The Ministry of Mirth works around the clock. You and your team become the most important strategic unit in the war. You are no longer just historians and artists. You are humanity's frontline soldiers. Your ammunition is our collected foolishness. You unleash a torrent of our greatest comedies. You broadcast everything. You send them fast-talking comedians and slow-burning satire. You send them screwball comedies from the black and white era. You send them complex stories about nothing. You transmit the sound of a rubber chicken. The war room, once a place of grim silence, is now filled with the faint sounds of laugh tracks and silly sound effects. It is the most serious and the most ridiculous place in the universe. The Glycon fleet reacts in a way that is both wonderful and terrifying. Their war machine slowly grinds to a halt. Ship after ship falls out of formation. Some spin in slow, lazy circles. Others simply shut down their main drives, drifting inert in the void. Their communications network, once a silent stream of pure data, is now flooded with noise. They are trying to share the joke. They are trying to understand it by committee. The effect is not uniform. Some parts of their fleet seem more resistant than others. The older, larger ships, the elder ones, as your team calls them, hold their positions longer. Their logic is stronger, more entrenched. So you tailor your attacks. You analyze their response patterns. You determine which types of humor are most effective against which types of Glycon mindsets. You are a humor sniper. You are targeting a species with puns. The enemy asks a question. After 3 days of the sustained laughter offensive, a message arrives from the alien command ship. It cuts through the chaos of your broadcasts. It is not a threat. It is not a surrender. It is a single, plain text message in perfect, unaccented English. It appears on every screen in the bunker. The message contains only 4 words. What is the purpose? The question hangs in the air. It is the most Glycon question imaginable. They are not asking you to stop. They are not demanding your submission. They are asking for the meaning behind the banana peel. They are asking for the logic behind the laughter. The great, cold, analytical mind of the Glycon collective has encountered something beyond its comprehension, and its first instinct is to understand. This is the turning point, the moment the war shifts from a conflict of force to a conflict of ideas. The fighting has stopped across the entire front, not by treaty, not by ceasefire, but by mutual, profound confusion. The Glycon do not know how to fight an enemy that wields absurdity as a weapon, and you do not know what to say to a godlike intellect that needs a punchline explained. Admiral Rostova looks at you. Her face is grim, but her eyes hold a flicker of something new. Awe. They are talking to us, she says softly. They think we are doing this for a reason. The irony is thick enough to taste. For centuries, the Glycon believed we were illogical primitives. Now they believe our nonsense is a form of higher logic they cannot grasp. They think our foolishness is a sign of genius. A dialogue between worlds begins, a strange, unprecedented negotiation. You are chosen to be the voice of humanity. Not a diplomat, not a general. You, the historian of humor. You are moved to a special communication chamber. It is just you, a microphone, and a direct link to the Glycon flagship. The fate of your species now rests on your ability to have a very strange conversation. You open the channel. You introduce yourself. You tell them your name and your new absurd title. the ambassador of mirth. You half expect them to vaporize you for the sheer audacity of it. Instead, they reply with another question. Explain the kinetic event involving the fallen biped and the fruit matter. What is the desired outcome of observing this event? So you begin. You try to explain a punchline to a godlike intellect. You talk about expectation and surprise. You explain the concept of subverting norms. You describe the human appreciation for the unexpected, for the sudden, harmless collapse of dignity. You use analogies. You use simple language. It is the most difficult intellectual exercise of your life. It is like trying to describe the color blue to someone born without eyes. They listen. Their massive, silent minds process your words. They ask follow-up questions, hundreds of them, each one more precise and analytical than the last. Is the humor value correlated to the velocity of the fall? Does the social standing of the biped increase the humorous output? Please provide a data table. You do your best. You realize you are not just their enemy. You have become their teacher. A contagion of joy begins to spread, a slow, creeping transformation. Your explanations are not enough. The glycon cannot understand humor through logic alone, so they do the only logical thing they can. They begin to experiment. The idea of humor, this illogical, useless concept, spreads through the glycon mind like a virus that makes you want to tell a knock-knock joke. At first, their attempts are clumsy, bizarre. You receive transmissions from their ships. They are not attacks. They are jokes, or what a being of pure logic thinks a joke is. Query. A starborn vessel enters a tavern. Its purpose is to procure a fermented grain beverage. This is not humorous. Why? You have to explain the concept of anthropomorphism. You have to explain what a tavern is. Their experiments become more complex. They try to replicate the comedies you sent them. You see two of their smaller drone ships attempt to reenact a slapstick routine. One ship gently bumps into the other. They then drift apart. They transmit a query. Did we perform the ritual of physical comedy correctly? Please advise. You find yourself giving notes to an alien war machine on their comedic timing. The process is slow. It is painstaking. It is the strangest first contact in the history of the galaxy. You are not exchanging technologies or treaties. You are exchanging knock-knock jokes. You are teaching the galaxy's most dangerous race the joy of the absurd, and slowly, painstakingly, they begin to learn. They are not just analyzing humor anymore. They are starting to feel it. Then you hear it, the sound that broke the war. It comes from their flagship, a broadcast on an open channel. It is not a question. It is not a joke. It is a sound, a strange, distorted mechanical noise, a rhythmic cascade of static and grinding gears. It takes your team of linguists and sound engineers hours to decode it, to understand its structure, its intent. When the analyst finally understands, he looks up from his console. His face is pale with shock. He plays the sound again, but this time he runs it through a translation filter. A filter designed to find emotional resonance in alien signals. The grinding mechanical noise is processed, and it becomes something new, something impossible. The sound of the first glycon laugh. It is not a human laugh. It is dry and grating, the sound of a mountain trying to chuckle. But it is unmistakable. The pattern is there, the sudden explosive release of tension. The joy, the absurdity. Somewhere on that ship of cold logic and perfect reason, a glycon, or 100 glycon, or the entire glycon collective, had finally understood the banana peel. They finally got the joke. That single alien laugh is more powerful than any weapon. It echoes across the system. Other glycon ships pick it up, they repeat it, they modify it. Soon, the space between Earth and their fleet is filled with the sound of their laughter. a chorus of grinding, joyful machines. The war did not end with a bang. It ended with a chuckle, a single, star-shattering laugh. The Great Withdrawal is not a retreat. A retreat implies defeat. The Glycon were not defeated. They were transformed. Their fleet, once a wall of silent death, turns for home. They do not fire a parting shot. They do not leave a warning. They simply turn their massive ships around and engage their star drives. One by one, they vanish into the black, leaving behind only the echo of their strange laughter. On the bridge of the Defiance and in the command bunker below, humanity watches in stunned silence. The screens that once showed 1,000 enemy threats are now clear. The sky is empty. The war is over. Not because you won, but because the game itself had changed. The enemy had found something more interesting than conquest, something more compelling than logic. You stand in the quiet of the communication chamber. The link to the Glycon flagship is still open. A final message comes through before they leave your system. It is not a question this time. It is a statement. A declaration of a new philosophy. Illogic is a valid form of existence. We must acquire more data. They have not been defeated. They have been given a new purpose, a new quest. You look at the faces of your team in the Ministry of Mirth, the linguist, the musician, the programmer. You were soldiers in the strangest war ever fought, and you had won the most unlikely of victories. You had saved your world not with bombs, but with belly laughs. The enemy was gone, but your work, you suspected, was just beginning. The war is over. A strange new peace has settled over the solar system. Earth begins to rebuild. But your mission has continued. You are no longer the ambassador of Mirth. You are their tutor. The Glycon did not just leave. They opened a permanent channel, a school. And you are the headmaster. You are humanity's chief exporter of foolishness. They have become ambassadors of the absurd. Glycon ships now arrive not with weapons, but with questions. They want to understand everything. They want to know why a pun is considered a low form of humor. They want to understand sarcasm, irony, and satire. You hold lectures with the Elder Ones. You teach the fundamentals of comedy to a race that once tried to erase you from existence. They are learning. Their own humor is developing. It is still strange. It is still analytical. But it is recognizably humor. They send you their own attempts at jokes, mathematical proofs that end in an absurd conclusion, star charts that, when viewed from a certain angle, look like a funny animal. They are trying. They are evolving. They are becoming something new. One day, a personal message arrives. It is from the commander of the Glycon flagship, the one you spoke to during the war, the one who first asked for the meaning of a punchline. He has a message for you, not a query, not a request for data. He wants to tell you something. He says he has finally crafted a truly human-style joke. He asks if you are ready to hear it. You smile. You tell him you are ready. He begins. A human, a Glycon, and a star science equation walk into a bar. The galaxy's deadliest race now wants to tell you a joke, and you realize, with a sense of profound and beautiful absurdity, that this is what true victory looks like. Not a defeated enemy, but a new friend who has finally learned how to laugh. You have not just saved your world. You may have just made the universe a much funnier place.